What's up everyone? Two of the biggest things on my channel, not counting things like Godzilla or Minecraft, tend to be either Pokemon or Kingdom Hearts related. So why not combine them? You'd be surprised how similar some of their designs and poses are. You'll know I'm not really a good artist if you watch my Twisted Dimension series, but I still wanted to show off an idea given to me by a dream I had. In this video, I shall be merging Heartless with Pokemon designs and hopefully creating some rather cool concepts. You probably won't be seeing me draw them line by line, but that may be a thing to change in the future. Hope you all enjoy! The most iconic and ordinary Heartless in the entire franchise is the Shadow. It is almost in every game in the franchise regardless of the time period or context. It has been upgraded constantly in the form of Neo Shadows, Demon Tides, and Demon Towers. It's also the Heartless that shows up the most often compared to all of the others. There are thousands of these things. Initially I thought about having some kind of rodent Pokemon to match the overabundantness of the Shadows would be the best option to represent them. But a part of me wanted to find a match that translated the Shadow into Pokemon via an either popular or simply designed pocket monster. So we need a long-eared Pokemon that's well known. I've got it. Mimikyu. Yes, Pikachu is a mascot and whatever, but I feel like Game Freak would save that for something more special. Shadow Mimikyu is my personal favorite of this group. I kept a lot of what made Mimikyu Mimikyu, but added on a couple of features necessary to showcase the Shadow's elements. Pinning the antenna, making the tail a hand, and removing most of the drawn-on features from the fabric's face. I thought it would be kind of cute if the Mimikyu fusion tried to mimic the original Shadow, despite its actual eyes being down here. This Pokemon / Heartless would be a Dark Fairy type and probably would be pretty docile. It would stick in large groups but wouldn't attack unless provoked. This one shiny changes the most compared to any of the others, being an almost inversion of the Shadow's colors. The saturated white is in response to the original Mimikyu shiny colors, but keeping the yellow eyes since pretty much every Heartless has yellow eyes. I decided to pick one of the more common Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 1 to mess around with the gimmick some more. Blue Rhapsody is an emblem Heartless you can find typically scattered in the beginning worlds like Wonderland or Traverse Town, and it has a couple of variants that utilize different elemental powers. Now I needed to find an ice type that would make sense in merging with the smaller Heartless. The answer to me was obvious. Vanillite was not only a close resemblance, but both obviously used freezing temperatures as a strength. Look at this cute little guy. Giving our ice cream Pokemon the overall look of the Rhapsody was actually easier than I thought it would be, but I needed to find a way to still show Vanillite's original appearance as well. The little hands and puffy ear around Vanillite's body really helped bring about a perfect synthesis between the two creatures. The little hands and puffy ear around Vanillite's body shape really helped bring about a perfect synthesis between these two creatures. Iced Ghost is in my opinion the perfect type combination to give for this kind of design. It would likely keep more traits of Vanillite than Blue Rhapsody, but both of them do tend to stay in small groups a lot. The shiny inspiration is also interesting as well. Spring Metal, a Heartless found exclusively in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, had a shade of blue that worked really well with the design, almost being a lighter green or cyan. Although this instance of Heartless used arrow magic, it was still in the family of spellcasters that Blue Rhapsody came from, so I used that to tie in the two palettes together. Also, just FYI, the emblem is kind of hard to draw on these things. This isn't my personal favorite of the group, but I think the execution is one of the better ones. The Tarzan world always felt distinct to me. It never showed up in another game and had a mini game one could do that was unique to Deep Jungle. When considering what Heartless the world could offer for the fusion, all the options were pretty much just monkeys. The Powewild was the most iconic and simple, so I went with that. Now I just needed a wild primate Pokemon that was known for being a good fighter. Monferno! They were in related poses enough that drawing a combination around Monferno wouldn't be all too hard. In this design, there's an obviously more of a clash between the two, the Powewild's color scheme and design details almost overtaking Monferno. But you can clearly tell that Monferno as a whole still retains its basic shapes and features, only molded to fit the Powewild better. Whether due to the changes in anatomy like the claws, the removal of its mouth and nose, both sides have done a good job at being represented. In terms of what type this thing would be, some mixed mash of either fire, normal, grass, or fighting would work. I think grass fighting personally would be the best, but normal will also be a close second. Regardless of what combination you pick, it would still have access to fire moves, albeit to a smaller degree. The shiny form is also the most simple and obvious of all the ones shown off in this video. Powewild's colors change when playing the Final Mix version of Kingdom Hearts 1, and that is reflected in the design here. It also made more sense to alter the color of the flame to a mix of blue and purple to resemble the main body better. The Kingdom Hearts 1 Heartless, specifically from Hollow Bastion, are some of my favorites. I know I wanted to have at least one of them appear in this video. The choice was between the Darkball and Wyvern, but the first would be far easier when designing a counterpart to it. When it came to what Pokemon would be best to use as a base, my mind immediately went to Ghastly. Both are floating black balls of a rather malevolent origin with somewhat similar color palettes. However, Ghastly felt a little too basic in my opinion. I turned to its evolutions, and funnily enough, Haunter seemed like a better fit. Haunter's tail and spikes better matched what Darkball's design originally had. This is the final result. This Haunter Darkball crossbreed would be a ghost dark type that prowls around areas with a lack of light. I also think that Haunter's typical jokester personality would translate well with the chaotic movements of a Darkball. In terms of balancing the Pokemon side with the Heartless appearance, I think this one came out the best. Both tend to stick to the shadows to disappear, and both use frantically haunting attacks when in battle. For its shiny, I give the Darkball form a more ghostly coloration to better match the motif overall. As a pureblood, I didn't want to change too much about the colors unlike what I did with the Shadow, but keeping it simple specifically for the Darkball would keep the initial idea intact. Side by side, these two do complement each other rather well. Now in terms of the actual concept behind these Pokemon / Heartless, I think it would be very good if they had stats similar to Paradox Pokemon. Obviously, they're not just simple Pokemon redesigns that can evolve and whatnot, they're actually based off of pre-existing creatures from the darkness, so having increased stats to better match what they came from is honestly a nice touch. I think 570 is a good base, since that's what the Paradox Pokemon were, but you could obviously decrease it for certain things like the Mimikyu Shadow and the Blue Rhapsody, since those Heartless are typically weaker than all the other ones. Darkballs would have higher status because they're already higher up in the Heartless chain, so you could vary stats depending on how strong the Heartless is in their original games, giving them higher stats to reflect this, or lower stats in contrast. 2 Purebloods and 2 Emblem Heartless for this video. I think we did a good job. This could be an ongoing series if you all show your continued support. I'll record the drawing and designing process, which would involve some tracing, and I'd maybe even show off multiple shiny colors to see which you guys would like the best. Join the Discord below, like and subscribe for weekly content, and have a wonderful rest of your guys' day.